Have you ever woken up in the morning, stretched your arms, and thought, why do my joints feel so stiff today? Or maybe you've noticed that simple tasks like opening a jar or climbing stairs have become harder than they used to be. If this sounds familiar, trust me, you're not alone. Millions of people over 60 live with arthritis, and it can really take a toll on mobility and quality of life. But here's the good news. What we eat plays a huge role in how our bodies respond to inflammation, pain, and stiffness. And today, I want to share some eye-opening insights about foods seniors with arthritis should avoid if they want to stay active and mobile for years to come. Now, before we dive in, let's talk science for just a moment, because understanding why certain foods affect us is key to making better choices. Did you know that arthritis isn't just about wear and tear on your joints? It's also closely linked to inflammation in the body. Foods high in sugar, unhealthy fats, and processed ingredients can actually trigger inflammatory responses, making symptoms worse. On the flip side, studies from institutions like Harvard Medical School suggest that an anti-inflammatory diet rich in whole foods may help reduce joint pain and improve overall mobility. That's why paying attention to what's on your plate could make all the difference. But wait, before we go any further, I need to say something important. This video is for informational purposes only. Everyone's health is unique, so always check with your doctor or healthcare provider before making changes to your diet or lifestyle. Science evolves every day, and while these tips are backed by research, they might not work the same way for everyone. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into it. Let's start with one of the biggest culprits when it comes to worsening arthritis symptoms: sugary foods. Think about those sweet treats we love: cookies, cakes, sodas, even fruit juices. They taste great, don't they? But here's the thing. Sugar doesn't just pack on extra pounds, it also fuels inflammation. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who consumed more added sugars had higher levels of inflammatory markers in their blood. For someone with arthritis, this means more swelling, stiffness, and discomfort. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up dessert entirely. That would be cruel, but maybe swapping out soda for sparkling water with lemon or choosing fresh fruit instead of candy could be a game changer. I'll never forget my friend Margaret, who struggled with severe knee pain for years. She loved her afternoon coffee runs paired with a sugary pastry. But after reading about how sugar affects inflammation, she decided to cut back. Instead of pastries, she started bringing along a handful of almonds or a small piece of dark chocolate. Within weeks, she told me her knees felt less achy and she had more energy throughout the day. Was it magic? No, it was simply about reducing unnecessary triggers for inflammation. Next up, let's talk about another common offender: refined carbohydrates. These include white bread, pasta, crackers, and anything made with white flour. At first glance, they seem harmless enough, right? But refined carbs break down quickly in the body, causing spikes in blood sugar levels. This rapid rise and fall can lead to increased inflammation, which, as we've already discussed, is bad news for arthritis sufferers. Instead of reaching for white bread, consider switching to whole grain options. Whole grains contain fiber, which slows digestion and helps keep blood sugar stable. Plus, they're packed with nutrients that support overall health. You might be wondering, what about potatoes? Aren't they healthy? Well, yes and no. Potatoes themselves aren't inherently bad, but fried versions like French fries or potato chips are double trouble. Not only are they loaded with unhealthy oils, but they're often cooked at high temperatures, producing compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs. AGEs are known to promote inflammation in the body. So next time you're craving something crispy, try baked sweet potato wedges seasoned with herbs instead. They're just as satisfying and much kinder to your joints. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but what else should I watch out for? Great question. We've covered sugar and refined carbs, but there's another category of food that deserves special attention: processed meats. Things like bacon, sausage, hot dogs, and deli meats are staples for many households, especially since they're convenient and tasty. However, research shows that these foods are high in saturated fats and nitrates, both of which can exacerbate inflammation. The World Health Organization has even classified processed meats as carcinogenic, meaning they increase cancer risk. Yikes! If you're someone who enjoys a ham sandwich or a slice of pepperoni pizza now and then, don't panic. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Try incorporating lean proteins like chicken, turkey, or plant-based alternatives. Beans, lentils, and tofu are excellent sources of protein that won't inflame your joints. My neighbor Tom switched from salami sandwiches to hummus wraps, and he swears his elbow pain improved significantly. Small changes, big results. At this point, you might be starting to see a pattern here. Many of the foods we've talked about so far, sugar, refined carbs, processed meats, are staples in the Western diet. But guess what? There's still more to uncover. In fact, the next group of foods we'll discuss might surprise you because they're hiding in plain sight. Before we get to that, though, I want to remind you why this matters. Eating well isn't just about avoiding pain. It's about reclaiming your independence, staying active, and enjoying life to the fullest. So stick around, because we're just getting started. Let's pick up where we left off, shall we? So far, we've covered how sugary treats, refined carbs, and processed meats can worsen arthritis symptoms by fueling inflammation. But there's another group of foods that often flies under the radar: fried foods. You know the ones I'm talking about: crispy fried chicken, golden French fries, even those tempting onion rings at your favorite diner. They're delicious, no doubt about it, but they come with a hidden cost for your joints. Fried foods are typically cooked in oils that are high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 aren't inherently bad. They're essential fats that our bodies need in small amounts. The problem arises when we consume too much of them, which is easy to do if you're eating a lot of fried or processed foods. Omega-6 can promote inflammation when they're out of balance with omega-3 fatty acids, the kind found in fish, flax seeds, and walnuts. A study from the Journal of Nutrition showed that people who ate more fried foods had higher levels of inflammatory markers, which can spell trouble for anyone dealing with arthritis. I remember chatting with my Aunt Louise once, who has rheumatoid arthritis. She used to love her Friday night fish and chips, but she noticed her hands would swell up afterward. On a whim, she decided to switch to baked salmon with roasted vegetables instead. To her surprise, her flare-ups became less frequent. It wasn't an overnight miracle, but over time, she felt a noticeable difference. Sometimes, it's the little swaps that make the biggest impact. Now, let's talk about something that might hit close to home for many of you: dairy. Milk, cheese, yogurt. These are staples in most households, and for good reason. Dairy is packed with calcium and vitamin D, which are crucial for bone health, especially as we age. But here's the catch: not everyone tolerates dairy well. For some people, the proteins in cow's milk, like casein and whey, can trigger an immune response, leading to increased inflammation. This doesn't mean dairy is the enemy for everyone with arthritis, but it's worth experimenting to see how your body reacts. A few years ago, I met a woman named Carol at a community garden event. She told me she'd struggled with joint pain for decades, and nothing seemed to help until she cut out dairy. At first, she was skeptical because she loved her morning lattes and evening ice cream. But after switching to almond milk and trying dairy-free alternatives, she noticed her wrists didn't ache as much anymore. Was it a coincidence? Maybe. But sometimes listening to your body can lead to surprising breakthroughs. Speaking of surprises, let's move on to another sneaky culprit: salty snacks. Chips, pretzels, salted nuts. These crunchy favorites are everywhere, and they're hard to resist. But excess sodium can wreak havoc on your body, especially if you have arthritis. High-sodium diets can lead to water retention, which puts extra pressure on your joints. Plus, too much salt can interfere with your body's ability to regulate inflammation. Research from the Arthritis Foundation suggests that reducing sodium intake may help alleviate symptoms for some people. This doesn't mean you have to banish all flavor from your meals. Instead of reaching for the salt shaker, try using herbs and spices to season your food. Garlic, turmeric, ginger, and rosemary not only add depth to your dishes, but also have natural anti-inflammatory properties. My friend Joe started sprinkling turmeric on his scrambled eggs every morning, and he swears his knees feel lighter now. Again, it's about finding healthier ways to enjoy the foods you love without sacrificing taste. But wait, there's one more category of foods we need to address, and it's a big one: alcohol. Now, I'm not here to tell you to give up your glass of wine or occasional cocktail. In fact, moderate alcohol consumption has been linked to certain health benefits, like improved heart health. However, excessive drinking can increase inflammation and weaken your immune system, making arthritis symptoms worse. Beer in particular contains purines, which can raise uric acid levels and potentially trigger gout, a painful form of arthritis. If you enjoy a drink now and then, consider setting limits. Maybe it's swapping that second glass of wine for sparkling water or opting for lower alcohol options. One of my neighbors, Linda, used to have a nightly habit of pouring herself 2 glasses of red wine. When her arthritis flared up, her doctor suggested cutting back. She decided to limit herself to 1 glass twice a week, and she says her joints feel better than they have in years. Moderation, as they say, is key. At this point, you might be feeling a mix of emotions. On one hand, it's empowering to know that you have control over what goes into your body. On the other hand, it can feel overwhelming to think about giving up so many familiar foods. Let me reassure you, it's not about deprivation. It's about making smarter choices that align with your goals. And trust me, once you start seeing improvements in your mobility and energy levels, you'll realize it's worth it. Before we wrap up this section, I want to acknowledge that changing habits isn't always easy. Maybe you're thinking, I've eaten this way my whole life, why change now? Or perhaps you're worried about missing out on the foods you love. These are valid concerns, and they're exactly why we're going to tackle mindset and motivation next. Because here's the truth, staying consistent with healthy habits requires more than just knowledge. It requires inspiration. So stick around, because we're about to dive into the emotional side of healthy aging and how to stay motivated, even when the going gets tough. Alright, let's keep the momentum going. We've already covered sugary foods, refined carbs, processed meats, fried foods, dairy, salty snacks, and alcohol, 7 big culprits that can worsen arthritis symptoms. But there's one more category we need to talk about, and it's one that might surprise you: nightshade vegetables. Now, before you panic and throw out your tomatoes and peppers, hear me out. Nightshades include foods like potatoes, eggplants, tomatoes, bell peppers, and even spices like paprika and cayenne. For most people, these are perfectly healthy and nutritious. However, some individuals with arthritis report that eating nightshades seems to trigger joint pain or stiffness. The reason? Nightshades contain compounds called alkaloids, which may irritate the gut lining in sensitive people. This irritation could potentially lead to increased inflammation, though scientific evidence is still mixed. A study from the Journal of Nutrition suggests that while nightshades aren't harmful for everyone, they might be worth monitoring if you notice a connection between eating them and feeling worse afterward. If you're curious, try eliminating nightshades from your diet for a couple of weeks and see how your body responds. Maybe swap your tomato sauce for a creamy mushroom-based pasta sauce or trade bell peppers for zucchini and stir-fries. Small experiments can yield big insights. I'll never forget when my Uncle Bob decided to test this theory. He'd always loved his morning omelet stuffed with tomatoes and peppers, but he noticed his fingers felt stiffer on days he ate them. On a whim, he switched to spinach and mushrooms instead. Within a week, he told me his hands felt more flexible. Was it the nightshades? Maybe. Or maybe it was just paying closer attention to his body's signals. Either way, it was a win for him, and it could be for you too. Now, as we wrap up the list of foods to avoid, I want to shift gears a bit. Because let's face it, knowing what not to eat is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in staying consistent and motivated, especially when life gets busy or emotions take over. Let's face it, change isn't easy, especially when you've spent decades eating a certain way. You might feel frustrated, overwhelmed, or even resistant to giving up the foods you love. And that's okay. Change takes time, patience, and a whole lot of self-compassion. One of the biggest hurdles I hear from people is the fear of missing out. What will I eat at family gatherings? Or, how do I enjoy meals without feeling deprived? These are valid concerns, and I get it. Food isn't just fuel, it's comfort, tradition, and joy. That's why I encourage you to focus on what you can add to your plate, rather than just what you're taking away. For example, instead of mourning the loss of white bread, celebrate the nutty flavor of whole grain sourdough. Instead of skipping dessert altogether, savor a square of dark chocolate paired with fresh berries. It's all about reframing your mindset. Let me share a story that really drives this home. A A few years ago, I met a man named Paul who didn't start making dietary changes until he turned 72. Yes, 72. Up until then, he'd lived on a steady diet of fast food, soda, and frozen dinners. His knees were so stiff that climbing stairs felt nearly impossible. One day, his granddaughter challenged him to try eating one homemade meal a day for a month. At first, he grumbled about the extra effort, but soon, he discovered the joy of cooking. He started experimenting with recipes, swapping ingredients, and even growing his own herbs. Within months, he noticed not only less joint pain, but also more energy and a brighter mood. He told me, "I feel 10 years younger." All because he took that first step. Paul's story reminds us that it's never too late to make a change. In fact, research backs this up. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that adding just 10 minutes of movement, or in this case, mindful eating, to your day can have profound effects on your health. Imagine what a few small tweaks to your diet could do over time. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Start where you are and build from there. Of course, motivation isn't just about physical changes, it's also about mental and emotional well-being. Many people assume that aging means slowing down, but science tells us otherwise. Staying socially engaged, pursuing hobbies, and maintaining a positive outlook can have a major impact on both mental health and longevity. Think about it. When you're surrounded by supportive friends and family, it's easier to stay inspired and accountable. Whether it's joining a cooking class, starting a walking group, or simply sharing meals with loved ones, connection matters. So, what happens when you hit a roadblock? Maybe you slip up and indulge in a slice of cake or a bag of chips. Don't beat yourself up. Progress isn't linear, and setbacks are part of the journey. Instead of dwelling on the mistake, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I bounce back stronger tomorrow? Remember, every meal is a new opportunity to nourish your body and support your goals. As we near the end of today's conversation, I want to leave you with this thought. Aging doesn't mean losing control of your health. It means taking charge of it in smarter, more intentional ways. You have the power to shape your future through the choices you make today. And trust me, those choices don't have to be drastic. They can be as simple as swapping soda for water, choosing baked over fried, or saying no to that second glass of wine. Small habits, compounded over time, lead to big results. But here's the thing, knowledge alone isn't enough. Action is what transforms information into impact. So now that you know which foods to avoid and why, you're ready to take the next step. Stick around, because in our final segment, we'll recap everything we've covered and give you a simple challenge to kickstart your journey toward better mobility and vitality. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Here we are, the final stretch of our conversation about foods seniors with arthritis should avoid for better mobility. I hope by now you're feeling inspired, informed, and maybe even a little excited to make some changes. We've covered a lot of ground together, from sugary treats and refined carbs to processed meats, fried foods, dairy, salty snacks, alcohol, and even nightshade vegetables. Each of these foods has the potential to trigger inflammation, worsen joint pain, or sap your energy. But more importantly, we've also talked about how small, thoughtful swaps can make a world of difference in how you feel every single day. To recap, let's revisit the key takeaways in a way that feels actionable and empowering. First, cutting back on sugar isn't just about weight management. It's about reducing inflammation that directly impacts your joints. Second, swapping refined carbs for whole grains keeps your blood sugar stable and provides lasting energy. Third, avoiding processed meats and opting for lean proteins like chicken, beans, or tofu supports overall health without fueling inflammation. Fourth, limiting fried foods and salty snacks helps ease water retention and reduces pressure on your joints. Fifth, being mindful of alcohol ensures you're not overloading your system with inflammatory triggers. And finally, experimenting with nightshades might help you identify hidden culprits behind stubborn flare-ups. Now, here's the beautiful part. None of this is about deprivation. It's about making choices that align with your goals, choices that honor your body and allow you to live life to the fullest. Think about it. Wouldn't it be amazing to wake up tomorrow with a little less stiffness, a bit more energy, and the confidence to tackle your day? That's what eating well can do for you. And don't forget, progress doesn't have to happen overnight. Even tiny steps, like swapping one sugary soda for sparkling water or choosing baked sweet potato fries instead of regular fries, can add up over time. To reinforce this idea, let me share a quick fact from Dr. Michael Greger, a renowned nutrition expert. He emphasizes that diet and lifestyle choices may significantly reduce the risk of chronic diseases, including arthritis. In fact, studies suggest that an anti-inflammatory diet could lower symptoms by as much as 30% in some individuals. Imagine what that kind of relief could mean for your daily life. Less pain, more movement, and greater independence. It's all within reach. But let's talk about something equally important: mindset. Staying motivated isn't always easy, especially when old habits creep back in or life gets busy. Here's my advice. Focus on how good you feel after making healthier choices rather than fixating on restrictions. Celebrate the wins, no matter how small. Did you choose grilled salmon over fried chicken? That's a win. Did you swap ice cream for a bowl of fresh fruit? Another win. Over time, these moments build momentum and create lasting change. And don't underestimate the power of community. Whether it's sharing recipes with friends, joining a fitness group, or simply talking to someone who understands what you're going through, connection matters. Research shows that staying socially engaged can improve mental health and even extend lifespan. So why not lean on your support system as you embark on this journey? Better yet, inspire others to join you. There's nothing quite like accountability to keep you moving forward. Now, I want to leave you with a simple challenge. Ready? Here it is. Pick one food from our list today and commit to reducing or replacing it for the next week. Just one. Maybe it's saying goodbye to sugary sodas or skipping that nightly glass of wine. Whatever you choose, pay attention to how your body responds. Do your joints feel less stiff? Are you sleeping better? Feeling more energized? These little experiments will help you discover what works best for you. After all, your health is personal, and so is your path to improvement. If you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know which habit you're going to try first, or share your own tips for managing arthritis. Better yet, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more practical advice on healthy aging. Together, we can create a community of support and encouragement, because no one should navigate this journey alone. Before we wrap things up, I want to remind you of something truly powerful. Aging doesn't define you, your choices do. Every meal, every step, every decision brings you closer to the vibrant, active life you deserve. So here's to taking charge of your health, embracing the process, and living your best life at any age. Thank you for spending this time with me, and remember, small daily habits can make a world of difference. Until next time, take care, and see you soon.